The Oscars red carpet. It's a total spectacle of glamour, high fashion, and, well, let's be honest, some pretty unforgettable misses. Tonight, we're going to jump into the very near future, to the 98th Academy Awards in 2026, to break down the looks that got everybody talking for all the wrong reasons.
You know, the Oscars red carpet really is the peak of Hollywood glamour. It's this huge global stage where just one outfit can totally define a career. But when the stakes are that high, not every risk is going to pay off. And some looks, they become legendary in a way you probably don't want them to. So, who exactly ended up on the wrong side of the fashion police on Hollywood's biggest night? Let's not waste any time. We're diving right into the countdown to find out. But hold on, this isn't just about pointing at a dress and saying, ooh, that's bad. No, we're going to deconstruct why these outfits didn't quite work. We're talking about everything from silhouettes that were totally out of balance, to textures that clashed, to big ideas that just got lost in translation from the runway to the red carpet. Okay, here we go. The countdown is officially on. First up, we're tackling numbers 9 through 5. These are the looks that were, kind of close to being great, but just couldn't stick the landing.
So, kicking off our list at number 9 is Odessa Azian in Valentino. She was giving major Stevie Nicks, full-on 70s rock star energy, which is cool. But with this huge billowing jacket and a velvet skirt, and what looks like boot-cut pants layered under it all, it just became way too much. What works as a dramatic stage costume ended up feeling kind of chaotic and bulky on the red carpet.
Coming in at number 8 is a look that absolutely set social media on fire. June Kim wore this ivory gown that was so completely covered in tiny crystals, it created this insane glitter overload. The problem was, under all the camera flashes, the fabric looked almost completely see-through. It sparked this huge online debate. Was this a bold fashion statement or just way too revealing for the Oscars? At number 7, we have Liam Myron, and this look is the perfect example of the difference between runway and red carpet. I mean, you've got this mix of light, airy tulle with rigid panels, feathers, and a fur shawl. It's pure high-fashion drama. But the Oscars red carpet really demands a certain polish and elegance, and this avant-garde experiment with all those clashing textures just felt more confusing than it did cohesive. All right, at number 6, it's Taylor Frankie Paul. Her Randy Rom gown definitely got everyone's attention, but a lot of critics felt it was probably for all the wrong reasons. That incredibly high full-body slit felt less about style and way more about shock value. And when you remember she was there promoting her season of The Bachelorette, it's easy to see why this was called a classic case of publicity stunt fashion. And rounding out the first half of our list at number 5 is the TV icon Kelly Reaper. She was going for that timeless old Hollywood glamour in a custom gold Christian So gown. But the sheer volume of reflective sequins created the super overwhelming liquid gold effect that just drowned her in sparkle. It's such a fine line between glamorous and gaudy, and this one definitely tipped into flashy territory.
Okay, deep breaths. We are now entering the top 4. These are the outfits that really split the critics down the middle and sparked the most intense debates. Let's just say the fashion crimes are about to get a little more serious.
Landing at number 4 is Oli Carvalho in Antonio Maras. At first glance, you see this dramatic fairy tale gown, right? But the big critique here was all about balance. The bodice, with these super heavy, oversized sculpted flowers, just felt completely out of proportion with this soft, dreamy tulle skirt. It's the perfect example of a central flaw. It honestly looked like two totally different clashing dresses got stitched together by mistake. Our number 3 spot goes to Renate Reinsve in Louis Vuitton. This was a case of minimalism that, according to pretty much everyone, went a little too far. The dress was this simple, strapless tube that just looked kind of under-designed and awkwardly cut for such a major event. To make things worse, she almost had a full-on wardrobe malfunction when someone stepped on her train. It's really proof that sometimes less isn't more, it's just less.
And now for the runner-up, the second biggest fashion miss of the night, Jennifer Goodwin in Mons. As you can see, there is a lot going on here. You've got sheer organza, dramatic puff sleeves, intricate lace. I mean, any of these things could work on their own, but when you put them all together, it created this really confusing and disjointed silhouette. The result was a look that just felt messy on camera, and it proves that even the most stunning jewelry can't save a muddled design.
And now, this is it. The moment we've all been waiting for. We have finally arrived at the number 1 spot. The single look that was the most talked about, the most debated, and, for a lot of people, the absolute biggest fashion miss of the entire evening.
So after all of that, which look was ultimately crowned the biggest fashion miss of the night? Let's find out.
And there it is. The #1 worst-dressed celebrity, according to the critics, was director Chloe Zhao. She showed up in this custom Gabriella Hearst gown that was just pure gothic drama. It had this glossy gunmetal fabric, these huge bell sleeves, and a sheer black veil draped over her head. The entire look had this very heavy, somber, almost mourning-like feel. Now, while some people praised its avant-garde energy, most just felt the dark, witchy vibe was way too heavy and completely out of context for a happy, celebratory night like the Oscars. So, what's the final verdict here? When we look back at all these fashion misses together, you can actually start to see some really clear patterns emerge. There are these common threads that explain exactly why these looks just didn't quite land. As you can see here, the key themes were pretty obvious. You had the overly complicated looks like Odessa A'zian's, which reminds us that sometimes simpler really is better. Then there was that disconnect between runway and red carpet with Liam Myron, showing that what looks amazing in a fashion show doesn't always work under 1,000 flashbulbs. And finally, unbalanced silhouettes and just plain wrong context, like we saw with Oli Carvalho and Chloe Zhao, prove that fashion is just as much about proportion and knowing the occasion as it is about creativity. And all of this leaves us with one final question to think